This is What You Can Do About Taking Control of Your Own Health, a podcast for people interested in exploring why we get sick, as well as in learning how to create bodies that are healthy, strong, fit, and disease resistant. I'm Sean McClendon. I am your host. I'm a certified personal trainer, an author, a health and fitness enthusiast as well. Thank you for joining me. So I am excited to continue from the last episode that I did. The last episode that I did, I was talking about the origin of 3 meals a day. Very exciting topic. If you didn't look at that episode, please make sure that you take a look at it. Look at it if you're on YouTube for sure, and then listen to it if you listen to it through podcast. Once I actually put this on a podcast platform. But anyhow, make sure you look at that because this podcast episode is kind of following up with that. This particular episode, I'm going to talk about why you need to go ahead and stop eating after 8 p.m. Let's get into that. But before we get into that, the featured book that I want to talk about today, the featured book for this podcast is my book called 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. So, as you probably know, you can have the best exercise diet routine in the world, but if your diet is off, one thing is guaranteed: you will not see results. So in my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health, I've created an easy to follow set of eating habits for you to adopt over 8 weeks to boost your health, promote fat loss, and get the most out of your exercise regimen. In the workbook, you have places to take notes as well as places to mark off when you've done what you need to do for each day. And everything kind of builds on itself. The different habits that I get you to develop over that time will produce sustainable weight loss. Okay. So when you finish the workbook, you'll finally know how to eat to get results, the results that you want, which is, of course, fat loss, but more importantly, good health. Make sure you look in the description to get the link to find where you can find that book online. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this episode. Again, we're talking about why you should stop eating after 8 p.m. Why you need to go ahead and do that. So I think most people already kind of know, maybe from your upbringing or whatever, that you don't need to really eat late, but I don't think we necessarily always know why. Okay. Now, this is actually a topic that's very much, again, it is kind of related to what I talked about last episode with the 3 meals a day, but it's related to this whole concept of intermittent fasting. But anyhow, okay, so let's go ahead and get into some of these notes that I took. So now, first of all, when I say eating late, I'm basically talking about, eating, deep into the nighttime, after 8 o'clock, definitely 9, 10, 11, 12, really, and also keeping in mind, right before bedtime, whenever your bedtime is. Well, both of those things. So eating late into the night, and especially as it pertains to like its proximity to your bedtime. Okay. So when I was growing up, to be honest, I can't quite remember when we would eat typically. But we probably would eat dinner about 7, 8 o'clock. But I don't remember how much time we would give between dinner time and bedtime. But we didn't typically eat, into the 9s and 10s and things like that, unless it was something special going on. Like we were getting home from church. My dad pastors a church that's kind of far away from where we used to live. And so sometimes we might pick up something to eat a bit later. But the thing I want you to understand is that it really matters. It really matters from a health standpoint, from a weight gain standpoint and for health overall. It's just not really good for the way that our bodies work. So first of all, and I did want to confirm a detail I realized in these notes I have. But yeah, first of all, it's very important to hold on a second. So it's very important for us to understand that um, sleep is extremely important for your health. And when you eat close to your bedtime, it impedes your sleep, which is not good. So, in a nutshell, sleep actually is when your body repairs itself, it rejuvenates itself, and those type of things. I'm gonna get into some details here now, but when you interfere with that process by having a lot of food on your stomach, then it messes up your sleep, which ultimately can affect all of your health, not just your weight. It'll affect your weight too, which is what most of us are concerned with, but it affects your overall health, and you're not able to function the way that you're designed to function. Okay? So let's get into this a bit more. So I saw somebody say that there's 5 different sleep stages, but I believe it's 4 stages. Yes, it's 4 stages of sleep. The first 3 are called non-REM. REM stands for rapid eye movement, but it's essentially the process by which your body kind of sinks down into that sleep mode. And I got this from the Sleep Foundation. What's it called? Sleepfoundation.org. You have, like I said, 4 stages of sleep. And the first stage lasts only about 1 to 7 minutes. Second stage lasts from 10 to 25 minutes. And in those stages, your body is still sinking down into sleep. The third stage is going to be from about 20 to 40 minutes. And I think that's when your body really does really, really slow down. Your heart rate, your breathing slow down. And this is the stage that's really critical for getting good sleep. And then finally you have the 4th stage, which is actually REM sleep, rapid eye movement. And your heart and your breathing kind of speed up a bit, and your eyes are moving around a lot. And it's really associated with having dreams and whatnot. So now, the reason why I talk about this in a podcast where we're talking about not eating past 8 p.m. again is because how much eating late can affect your sleep and how detrimental that is. So again, when you finally sink down into that stage 3 sleep, that's when your body kind of starts to recover, rejuvenate. Your metabolism, important things happen with regulating your metabolism. As you might know, metabolism has to do with the rate at which your body uses energy. And so that kind of stuff gets regulated in your sleep. I think particularly in stage 3 sleep. Different things with your cardiovascular system, your heart and whatnot, your immune system, different things with that are being regulated. Okay. Different important processes to make sure that your heart is getting the rejuvenation, the recovery it needs. Your immune system is doing different kinds of things. Another thing that happens is memory consolidation. Like literally as you sleep, your brain is kind of sorting out like your memories and whatnot. A lot of important things are happening in your brain to kind of help your memory kind of be all connected and consolidated the way it needs to be. So sleep is very, very important for your memory and your thinking abilities. It's also very important for overall mental health. Which means if you are having issues with mental health and you're not getting good sleep, that's like a automatic, this is something I need to do better in, because literally from a physiological standpoint, your body is not getting the recovery it needs. Okay. And so it's going to become more easy for you to get mental health issues. Another thing that happens during sleep is the regulation of several hormones, among them leptin and ghrelin, which are like hormones associated with your appetite. Think about that. So you probably have heard that not getting enough sleep can make you eat more. And so that's kind of like how that happens. You also get regulation of cortisol, which is stress hormone, melatonin, which is the hormone associated with kind of helping you get to sleep, and then you have growth hormone, which helps with growth and repair in the body. Now, the lack of sleep can cause cardiovascular problems, heart problems. It can cause your immune system to get weaker. And of course, it increases your risk of obesity and becoming overweight, by the way that it influences your different hormones. It increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. Again, I said mental health problems, impaired brain function. Again, let's not lose sight of what I'm talking about here, though. The thing with sleep is that proper sleep is very important. And proper sleep ends up being impeded when you eat too close to bedtime. But the question is why, though? The reason why eating close to bedtime impedes your sleep is because digestion is such an energy intensive process. It takes a whole lot of energy. So digestion takes several hours. So think about this. So say, for example, you eat breakfast, maybe 8, 9 o'clock. You eat breakfast, eggs, sausage, toast, whatever you eat, drink, swallow down some, orange juice or whatever. Literally, that can take, from what I saw in my research, this surprised me, it can take anywhere from about 2 to 5 days for that meal to get all the way through your system. Now, it depends on the individual. I think some of that can be associated with, maybe digestive issues, maybe even stuff like constipation and, just other issues that a person might have, or just differences between individuals. But it can take up to 5 days for one meal to get all the way through the system. Okay. So that said, so think about this. So when you first swallow food, and it goes into your stomach, it can take from about 6 to 8 hours for that food to go from your stomach to your small intestine. Now, so keep in mind, you have your stomach, and then it goes to your duodenum, which is that tube that leads from the bottom of your stomach into your small intestine. But literally, food will be in your stomach for 6 to 8 hours before it gets into your small intestine. One meal. So it kind of makes you think. When we talk about, we typically space our meals about 4-6 hours apart. Breakfast maybe about 8, lunch about 12, and then dinner probably about 6. So that's about 6 hours between lunch and dinner. But like, you literally will probably still have food in your stomach when you are, when you're eating your next meal. But let me not go too far into that, because that's another topic. The thing with this is, when you lay down to go to sleep and you've eaten, 30 minutes, an hour before, like, you are actively in the digestive process. And so what happens is, like, there's like a conflict there. Like, your body is trying to relax and rest, but your body is simultaneously having to put all this energy into digestion. So that can affect your sleep for sure. It can mess your sleep up. Okay. So I also talked recently about how I experienced acid reflux, otherwise known as GERD. And that was associated with eating too close to bedtime. Literally, what happens is, that churning stomach, those juices start to come back up out of the stomach into your, esophagus and whatnot. And that's why, because you literally kind of have that conflict where you got all this digestion stuff going, and you lay down on all that, and it starts to come back up. Okay. And so that's another thing. Like, that's a clear cause. I say this with passion, not only because I experienced it myself, but also because it makes so much sense. But we have such I don't know. It's like, it's such a clear cause. It's something that we can easily do something about, But anyway, let me keep on going so I don't get stuck on that. Another thing is that eating late can increase your body temperature. And again, consider that your body is actively trying to work while it's actively trying to rest. And so, your body temperature is increasing, and literally when you're trying to go to sleep, your body is actually in the process of cooling itself off and calming itself down. And so when you actually are digesting food, you're keeping that body temperature up, which makes it harder to sleep. You know how sometimes you get hot at night and you are you uncover yourself or uncover one leg, or you know how we be doing, trying to cool your body off, because it's hard to like sleep with a hot body. Okay. Another thing is the time that you eat dinner can affect your circadian rhythm. It's like that 24-hour clock that your body runs on. And so your body, it can kind of cause your body to think that maybe it's earlier than it is. Okay, based on the time that you eat, so that can affect your sleep as well. Um, so yeah, and when you affect your circadian rhythm, that can have an effect on how your body processes sugar and how it digests food. Okay, so and let me see. Yeah, so in a nutshell, this is why you don't need to eat after 8. It might even be earlier for you, depending on what time you turn into bed. Because ideally, you want to eat at least 2 hours before, give at least 2 hours between eating and bedtime, preferably 4 or even more. Because again, if it takes 6 to 8 hours for food just to get from your stomach to your small intestine, the next part of the tube, then even if you give 2 to 4 hours time, you'll still have food in your stomach. So, but it's generally accepted in the medical world that you need to have 2 to 4 hours between bedtime and your meal time. Because I guess perhaps maybe there's been enough of digestion to kind of like occur that it's not going to really mess up your sleep like that. But yeah, so if you're somebody who goes to bed at 10, you want to you want to eat your last meal 6 to 8 p.m. That's you finishing that meal then. Okay. So yeah, another thing I saw is you really want to eat most of your calories during the day. I talked a little bit about meal times and how they've evolved over time, and how it used to be that people didn't necessarily eat breakfast, or maybe they might eat a very, very light something in the early morning, and then eat the major family meal, which was called dinner, around noontime. And then they might have like a supper, which would be like a light meal, I want to say around 5 o'clock or so. And then that was it until the next day. Whereas now, because of, again, the habits of wealthy European settlers who came in and were able to afford, to eat 3 meals, as well as the Industrial Revolution, which made life center around work rather than around the person, then you start seeing more of like breakfast, lunch, and dinner the way we have it now. And then artificial light has also kind of pushed the big meal. It's a combination between artificial light and the Industrial Revolution that sends people to work, and doesn't give them time to eat a family meal until the evening time. Those have pushed dinner later and later, perhaps to our detriment, because we don't really need to be trying to digest a lot of food at night. Let me make sure I'm very clear with this. A lot of times we look at this type of stuff and we just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I should just eat earlier. But the thing I want you to understand is that we have an epidemic of lifestyle caused disease in this country. This is one of the reasons. This is because we're eating too close to bedtime, because we're eating so late. We're eating so heavy so late. This is one of the reasons, y'all. If we really want to be healthy, really achieve the best health possible, then it's these type of practices that we need to go ahead and change. I don't have anything against doctors, but the thing I want you to understand is it's not the abundance of healthcare that's going to like really produce the best health, because healthcare a lot of times is okay, I got something, now I need to try to treat it. And a lot of times the treatment is not like a treatment that will actually help you to overcome whatever it is. If you're talking about lifestyle disease. The other thing I want you to understand is inside of your body is like health. Inside of your body is healing power. That's why whenever you scrape, your knee, or you break a bone, or something like that, like your body will literally rejuvenate. God put that on the inside of us. However, to preserve that, we have to do the right things with our body. Our bodies are these organic systems that require proper maintenance. Just like your car requires proper maintenance. They literally give you a book with a schedule of what you need to do when. You got to get your oil changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. You got to get a tune up every so many miles, and you got to rotate your tires and all this stuff to get the best out of your car. But yet we just kind of like we just be doing stuff with our bodies. You have healing power in your body. You have health. You have your body is an amazing machine. But literally many of us, most of us, spend all day long abusing our bodies. And then we go to the doctor to try to get it all fixed. When if we had just gotten enough sleep, not eating so heavy so late, not eating so much of this processed man-made food, spent time, in nature, not being stressed and all this type of stuff. All of these things are the way that you nurture this body. And so when I talk about not eating late, I really want you to understand you really need to not eat late. You really need to. And to be transparent, not eating past 8 is something that I've really, really locked into here recently, really recently. But it's been on my heart for a long time. Sometimes I would get to about 8:30. It's kind of hard sometimes, to kind of think about when you'll do stuff whenever you have kids and responsibilities. So, but we're having to just kind of make some adjustments here at home. So, but now I don't eat my last meal is done no later than about 7:15. Sometimes it usually ends sometime between about 6:30, 6:45, 7:15. That's usually when my last meal is done. But please, look, you need to get good, solid, restful sleep. You need that sleep. That's when your body kind of turns over so many things and repairs itself from the day and consolidates your memory and regulates your hormones to help you to function the way you're designed to function. And the reason why a lot of us don't really have very good health is literally because we're not maintaining our bodies. We're just kind of we're just doing stuff. We're just winging it. And that's why we start to get these problems. We assume that our bodies are broken, but they're not. They're just not functioning properly because they're not being maintained. They're not being given what they need. And the thing is, you can see the healing power of the body because of how long it takes to sometimes to develop illness. Because your body hangs in there. It's getting all this deficiency of vitamins and minerals, never getting enough sleep, never moving, never always being just surrounded by a very stressful environment. Never being outdoors, never getting sunlight on your skin. All these different kind of assaults it takes, and it's doing well. It's hanging in there for a while, and then finally things start to happen. So please don't listen to this and be like, that was some good information. Please don't do that. Please pay attention to the fact that you need to maintain your body. You need to go ahead and cut off your eating time. You'll be fine. Eat earlier and don't eat anything else after about 8 o'clock, except for if you drink like some water or some unsweetened herbal tea, or something like that, so that your body can go ahead and rejuvenate. Because that's like medicine, getting good sleep. You know, your body has its own mechanisms for repairing and healing and recovering and all of that type of stuff that we often end up substituting for, putting in its place medical help because we done abuse our body so much. Okay. So hopefully this doesn't fall on deaf ears. So anyhow, let's let that be it. Let's let that be it. This has been the latest episode of what you can do about taking control of your health. If you found it helpful, please share. Please subscribe, like, share the episode. Make sure you get a copy of the book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. You'll see that in the description below. And I will mention, of course, as a disclaimer, that the information on this podcast is based on my personal research and opinion. It's not meant to be a substitute for advice from a doctor or physician, so you are advised to consult your doctor or physician before making any changes to your lifestyle. That said, remember, your doctor's not responsible for your health. You are. You're responsible for making changes to your health. You're responsible for doing things to maintain your body. It's not going to do that by itself. And when medical assistance is treated as like a substitute for what your body already has built on the inside and what God has provided in the world to maintain your body, it is not a suitable substitute. It's not it should be a supplement, not like a substitute. Okay. So anyway, I've talked enough. God bless. Y'all take care. Until next time.